Surely here with Sirius, Talis Moon, and the Moon is next to Black Moon Lilith, Jupiter hour, and this is Moon Day. Ascendant conjoining Regulus, and Midheaven was just crossing Beta Persei. Now, a little bit of an energy reading. First of all, I was just thinking, oh my god, there's so many charts on that Beta Perseidic and the Uranus is going to cross. And for me, it is a lot of family. I will put the video that I planned to upload, and I want to give a little bit of an energy reading. I mentioned in one of my videos that I used to have sore throat, and that was because I needed to say something, because I needed to speak. There was some certain truth that I needed to say, and that is not because of lying, but because there's certain things I have not even been aware of that I was going to be saying. I had to do with banking. Now I understand. 20 years later. So, okay. I'm just gonna upload it like that. What I'm getting in the energy for you, there may be a couple of energies. One, an energy that tries for people to not say something. Here I want to be very clear with that. Moon is next to Lilith, which is sexual sovereignty, ruled by Mars, released in form a square to Pluto, closing square. I want you to think to when Mars was conjoining Pluto, and it's going to be about 2 years cycle, and of course those cycles are interrelated with other cycles, where the nodes were in drawing Ketu and so on. Now, some energies want people not to speak, and here is what I say. If there was intentional or psychosis-induced sexual boundary violation, it aligns with speaking. Okay, we do not force the speech, but it aligns with speaking. For those who are speech impaired, the equivalent form of expression. Very simply put, if somebody doesn't want to be talked about, let them not rape. If they did, let them openly deal with that induced psychosis, and instead of attacking people that didn't rape them or are not in the Masons. Okay, like, like draw the energy as not to attack for the sake of attack, but to set boundaries to the death codes. That's what's happening in the sky. And you see a lot of energy readers like, I see justice, the card of justice being pulled, the karmic alignment. It's like they're dropping the Peter rings, they're dropping the Peter rings, they're dropping the Peter rings. I've been saying that since 2023. Now, for some people, certain people try to push other people to, because they think that they wouldn't speak, And then there is a third party, and that party wants people to speak. So if I think about, let's say, me having a sore throat, there would be energies trying to bring in the sore throat energy to try to silence or to take the voice. But then there are other energies that said, she said having sore throat makes her speak. Okay, let's give the sore throat. Let's hear the truth. And both of them are using occultistic magic. Because, okay, there have been a lot of authentic confusion about relationships, and Sun in Libra, separating from the opposition with Neptune, is authentic confusion. Sun is authenticity, and Neptune is confusion. Now, I talked about the Neptune infused charts, and I'm one of them. And in those, even when a person is being an open book, people don't always see that person is being an open book. And because a lot of people have learned psychology, and here's what I say, oh my God, I'm going to say it like that, the Mossad. Okay, I'm Israeli. Without sexual sovereignty, we do not have a correct analysis of the psychology behind another person's speech. A personality cult that is infused with Epstein. Now, when I say infused with Epstein, let's, at the very least, the Mossad had to have, somebody was like, the sore throat was overworking. Somebody, and again, I don't, other than being an Israeli, I don't know the Mossad. But the thing is, the Mossad had to have informants with Epstein. Whether Epstein was working in the Mossad, not working in the Mossad, okay, whatever. Of course, he worked for some intelligence. They're trying to build a global intelligence. A part of exposing Epstein and exposing the Peter Rings was for people to get hung up on, was it Trumpstein? Was it this? Was it that? Was it they're all in it? And to get hung up on that and not think MK Ultra, MK Ultra, that cult personality cult, Nazi Aleister Crowley ideology, anything that violates sexual boundaries and anything that tries to torture people is basically not getting information. Correct. When I was in high school, okay, I was in one of the best public high school, one of the best high school. I lived with my mama and my grandmama to go to that high school. They would come from the army. I took French and not Arabic because I knew if I take Arabic, I end up in 8200. I'm going to say it again. 8200 is an elite unit of the IDF. There would be no choice for me with the class that I was going, which was sciences class at the beginning, and I literally swayed to filmmaking. There would be no choice for me. If I would take Arabic, we all knew if we take Arabic, we end up 8200. There was no question about that. We dodged that. Okay, we took French, not Arabic. When I would study in academia, I had a friend that was 8200, and I was doing tutoring, that was volunteering. Then I had to connect the two people for them to get to the 8200, and they had to pull connection because they lived in the south, and there was this geopolitical, and that other person also lived in the south, but they somehow knew Farsi. I don't know, okay? But for me, when I was in high school and in the army, they really wanted to recruit us to intelligence. So they would come to us and tell us that the Israeli intelligence found a way to interrogate people without torture, physical or psychological. And they told us that the British intelligence was saying, we don't want that, because they were good with the torture. Okay, I was in high school. That's what we were marketed. That is how much they wanted us in the intelligence. Now, without sexual sovereignty, there's no intelligence. It's all a treason cult of a treason cult of a treason cult of a treason cult. Now, I don't blame either the Mossad or the CIA or anybody, because all of them had to have informants with the mafia. But when you go personality cult, there's no way back. The only people that have a way back is with people that attack those who try to violate them. Now we're seeing that when there is a goal that 1 in 3 person will be targeting individuals, and the next of the 2/3 are going to be watched. We see that because this is what Abraham Lincoln said: they try to fool all the people all the time. Can't fool all the people. They can fool some of the people some of the time. They try to fool all the people all the time, which means they can't do it. And anything that violates the sexual sovereignty, and that's the thing, with something that violates the sexual sovereignty, you don't infiltrate that. You set the boundary. But if you come from tradition, you come from this, you come from that, you come from I don't know what, you're losing points in global intelligence. The curation for schizoaffective disorder is housing first, independent of ability to work, and to believe the patient, have environment that is supporting for them to speak, and have no bad implications, and protect their testimony like a set in stone. Finland knows that because Finland has to deal with Putin. And if people have been recruited to intelligence, I don't know what, going with the Masons, I don't know what. The minute somebody violated somebody's sexual boundaries or did something that is even the communication, there was the 001 course that they were trying to, get people, and the CIA is doing that as well, and so on, trying to get communication techniques from intelligence services now without sexual sovereignty. And sexual sovereignty also entails that one can say the yes, no, and maybe authentically without fearing for losing resources that are essential to their well-being. And that nobody can fool. I tell you this, okay? Nobody can fool around with that without that, depending on the planets associated, the astrological elections, Saturn conjoining Neptune, 0° Aries. What do you think will happen? Somebody violated somebody's boundaries. There was cases of induced psychosis. This is where people need to learn. Why do you think I tended to ritual abuse of children? I knew that if I'm going to do a business, then I would have to, if I want the model to be sell to the rich so you can subsidize to the poor, I'm going to have to work and solve the problems of the rich so that I can wealth redistribute to the poor. And when my leaf is hidden in the forest, when my wealth is hidden in the forest, people don't come for my wealth. Very simply put. Now, when I see that if I had to own a business, if I had to be successful, I would have to turn my head around every time a colleague or a business partner rapes an infant to consolidate wealth with some royal family or government. then that's not success. At the same time, it's not about saying, well, I'm not going to have too much money, I'm not going to have too much that. Well, that just means that those things are going to keep on happening to more and more and more people. We have death and concentration camps in the freaking USA. No, it's not just Trump. It started in Biden. Trump did not abolish that. Let's just put it that way. They want to take out gas from the Dead Sea. They want to use the technique of Estonia. Apparently, some people argue that it's one of the worst techniques. Because if you can both withdraw oil and create a complete disaster that kills everyone. So why do you think 7th of October happened? A word for Congo. How much is it? Over 10 million people dead? Murdered. Civil war, not civil. I have no idea what's going on there. I don't know who's the good guys or the bad guys. I have no idea. I just know that there's complete, total, but then Holocaust disaster happening in Congo for several years. I don't even know how long. And nobody's talking about that. Literally nobody has their eyes on Congo. They better start because 2026, 2027, the eclipses hit Africa. People better stop paying attention to Congo sooner than later. Now, remember when I said, drop the Peter rings, drop the Peter rings, drop the Peter rings, I am. Drop the Peter rings, I am. What is that? I am Aries, drop the Peter rings. I did not know that, and I'm an astrologer. I see on my lot of fortune. On my lot of, I see crossing my lot of divination. I said what I said. Uranus Sedna. So in the collective, there are people that try to do certain techniques so that people will not speak, and then the people try to do the same techniques so that people will speak. And what I say is very simple. When there was a violation of boundaries, things tend to align. And they tend to align in the open. Sexual boundary violation is not something that is closed in silence, because that keeps that perpetuating. The new generation of wealth is not cool with trafficking children. We're not cool with that. Some of us didn't bring children because of that. And we're not cool with human trafficking. Some of us would explode the entire earth completely with high enough density so people won't be at the margins of the A-bomb on that. We are moving from the age of, from the age of having energy underground to the age of deriving the energy from what's above the ground. Way more transparency. way less excuse to charge for things. People try to manufacture artificial disasters to charge for things. Those that see people as commodity, whether as slaves or women as commodity or children as commodity, how should I say that? They would need to deal with people who are not equally to the opposite opinion, who are unequal. That's the thing. That's the point of Aquarius. It's not, okay, Libra is the opposite polarity. Slavery and trafficking is unequal. That's made to look like it's equal because they torture children, they have handlers. The child will make it comfortable for the adult who was also trafficked as a child to rape a child and make sure that their face opposition to the camera. But with Aquarius, it's not the equal. It's not like physics when we talk about an equal, different telos or opposite telos, opposite direction, equal power. No, it is throwing slavery away with unequal power. That's the power to the people. Now, the tribes and the indigenous societies that enable sexual boundary violations go down. They're going to call it colonialism. They're going to call it a lot of funny names. Uranus is with Sedna. Sedna's story. Trafficked. Sedna was sold. Further, you can't sell people. Sedna was trafficked. What happened to the village? No food. Now, you know how it's funny in personality calls where people say, oh, we need to be able to be who we are. Well, if who you are tries to violate the very personality of the another person, whether sexual boundary violence or anything else, it is what it is. I'm just sending the message out there because those things are not surely said. Those things are actual, real things. People in these times, they lose their politically correct. Because if all of these things are wealth consolidations on trafficked children, people, then, and the people get it. Now, what was the thinking behind the extortion cults is they're going to pull the cards, drop the economy. When Epstein was exposed, we had the subprime crisis. What's the connection? What do you think is the connection? They were trading people. And that collapse, basically, from the extortion cult's point of view, was, hey, we're going to break down the entire intelligence system. Because Saturn Neptune here is new intelligence. And Abraham Lincoln was very right saying you can fool some of the people some of the time. You can't fool all the people all the time. Nepal, demonstration, 72 people dead. The next day, the parliament was on fire. Not the businesses, not havoc in the street. Parliament on fire. That's it. But if the people in Nepal also enable sexual boundary violation, 2027, I get the feeling that 2027 we're gonna know what's happening with Congo. That's where the cycle of eclipses reach North Africa. Now here's the thing, if something is working in a way that is, I grew up and I got very good education from my mama. Because my mama said, if something is not aligning, if people try to do, she said to me, Shirley, never try to do things of just something, you do something, go aligned. Because it was misaligned, it doesn't hold water. Now for some of these people, they grew up in that cult. Yes. I don't blame these people that grew up in that cult, but the satanic ritual abuse survivors are satanic ritual abuse survivors because they attacked the attacker, not another person. And some of the folks are younger generation. If a younger generation, what is going to matter is who stands for sexual sovereignty the most. Now here's the thing. If a person is working with intelligence or whatnot, and they have next to them a person not working with intelligence, a person is in the Mason, they have next to them a person not in the Masons, it creates a situation where sometimes even the younger generation, and I saw black women talking about their boys killing mamas, killing their mother, and the mother loved the child, she respected the child. Now when a child hits puberty, a teenager, their mind, okay, is oriented towards rebelling their parents and going, but not rebelling the youth around them. This is what youth movements were capitalizing on. And then they started to do that to even younger children or infants. So for people that are younger generation, hey, if you are If they told you to, I don't know, to harm your best friend or to harm your parent or I don't know what. Now here's the drama. Will people be enablers of those things? Now there's a difference between alleviation of corruption, seeing to the fact that all these people at the top are very corrupt, and yet those are the people that did not have either the courage or the circumstances to rebel. Those are the people that didn't get out of the ghetto. And now they're running the ghetto. And they're supposed to expand the ghetto. I don't enable them. Everybody has the right to protect themselves from what they do. I also addressed the fact that there was a structure to that ghetto, and that structure was reliant on sexual boundary violation and many other things that ritual abuse survivors talk about and expose. Listen to Annika Lucas. Listen to survivors speak. Taking down the elite, which may happen, is not going to solve the problem from the core, because those are used to wealth consolidation. Now, taking down, let's say, the Jews, not enough. What we need to change is the rituals around currency issuing and the rituals around wealth consolidation. And unfortunately, I cannot even give the credit to the people that say that, because they had to be involved in trying to rape me, traffic me, and take my creative energy. After having attempt to be whistleblowers. People that think they can F with sexual boundary violation, where they intentionally try to violate somebody's sexual boundaries. As I speak, I'm protecting myself from that. They think they can work underneath gloved hand. They get caught red-handed. The handlers of the politicians. We don't infiltrate sexual boundary violation codes. We set boundaries to them. We don't fragment people and send them different parts of personalities all across the world. We give people housing first and believe in the patient, so we have intelligent strategic advantage on the entire earth. We don't enable slavery and expect to not be persecuted. Those who believe that not all people can be free, those who believe that women should be enslaved, or this should be enslaved, or that should be enslaved, those people are persecuted in this time in history, as well as those people in indigenous societies that believe that. An attempt to rape someone in the astral is not going to change neither the truth nor the implications that are going to be on a global scale to those dumb fuckeries.